Marty Snyder.
Well, it's funny because on the radio just a moment ago, Junior was talking about how good Bobby Hamilton looks. I think he's trying to feel his way around the racetrack, who he can run well with and who he works better with in the draft. But he just told his spotter, Ty Norris, hey, that 55 car is awesome today.
And I think they all know it because that's what you get. That's what's called hanging out to dry. They let the 55 car hang out to dry. He's going to lose 10 or 12 spots because he didn't have anybody to help. And now he's got Rusty Wallace pulling on the outside of him.
Hamilton was side by side for the lead last time at the start-finish line. Let's see where he is this time. Ricky Rudd down to the inside. Casey Atwood in the middle there in the red Dodge.
Bobby Hamilton was 10th that lap. Kevin Harvick in the white number 29 car. Following closely, Casey Atwood in the 19, the red car. All aboard with Kevin Harvick.
On the gas there for a second.
That looked like a big distance back to Joe Nemechek and Hutch Strickland, but that's, as you can see, as we go to camera on the roof, really not that far.
Mike and Rusty Wallace, 22nd and 21st places. Dave?
I talked with Mike Wallace just before the start of the race, and I asked him about the cars dropping to the back, who he might run with. And, of course, he said his brother, and then he walked me over to the car and showed me a toggle switch down by his right where he would sit, down by his left thigh, that he can switch to a second channel and talk to Rusty. They might be able to communicate their way through some of this traffic today.
That seat, Rusty Wallace's car there sounded like it was missing, but he would not be running that well if, in fact, he had a miss in the engine. That sounded better now.
The bright orange spoiler and roof numbers on Rusty's car indicating that he's one of the 5 drivers running for the Noble $5 million bonus today. Rusty and Mike having the ability to talk to each other. They are teammates now. Is it unusual?
No. We used to be able to do that at Hendrick, and also Mark Martin and I, when we were teammates, we had that ability as well. And it just saves a lot of time, especially on a restrictor plate race. You don't have to go through spotters, and by the time you get through the spotters and get the message across, things have changed quickly.
Sterling Marlin slowing down. Is he coming to pit road? No.
They've just been dropping back to the back of the pack. He's done that before. Wasn't that at Daytona?
Car wasn't handling well, and he got out of the traffic and said, we'll just ride at the back until we get to a pit stop and can fix it. I think you're right, Walt. We'll find out what's going on with Sterling Marlin when we come back to Talladega. We've completed 50 miles of 500 in the EA Sports 500 presented by Dodge. Aerial shots from the Budweiser.com airship at Talladega are brought to you by Budweiser, the official beer of NASCAR. Enjoy, race fans.
There that balloon is, just floating along in a beautiful Alabama afternoon.
Spectacular action to look down on. Log on now to NASCAR.com and check out the Conseco NASCAR Fantasy Challenge. Pick your own team of drivers and see how you match up against other fantasy teams. Log on today, and you might just win a replica of the number 14 Conseco Winston Cup Pontiac. Ron Hornaday running in 8th place in the Conseco car now, behind leader Dale Earnhardt Jr. We talked about Sterling Marlin having problems. Jimmy Spencer has come to pit road with big problems. Matt?
Jimmy, an early exit for you. What happened?
Just something broke in the top of the motor, I think, like a piston or I really don't know for sure. I mean, you're sitting there riding. This isn't racing. You can get up there and race anytime you call it racing. It's boring for the drivers. It's scary boring. It's not racing. And it's awful that we have to put up with this, but that's part of it. And unfortunately, we're out of it, so we won't be in the wreck today. I hope there isn't no wreck today, you know. Everybody's using their head right now, so that's pretty good. But something happened in the motor. Robert Yates has been doing a great job all year long, and it just something happened there, and we aren't really sure.
Is there anything you can do? You say you hate this kind of racing.
It is. I mean, what can you do? You know, if you want to get up there and lead for a while, you can, and then somebody else will shuffle you back because every car out there is equal right now, and they're all running hot because they're so close together. And you know, if the good Lord blesses us all today and everybody uses their head, we won't have an accident, and nobody will get hurt, and we'll have a winner. But it ain't racing not the way I've been born to learn how to race.
His last win came here at Talladega. Also, guys, one update on Sterling Marlin. He dropped to the back as a plan. Tony Glover told him if you can't get back up to the front and run with the first through fifth place cars, just drop to the back and let's play it safe like our game plan was already set out.
All right, Matt, thanks. That is the first Spencer's remarks of many comments we'll hear today about drivers not liking these rules.
Now, here's what you do, okay? You lay the spoiler down about 30 degrees, and you make these cars really hard to drive, and you won't see these cars in a pack. You know, you can't have it both ways. The cars, if they're hard to drive, you won't see them in big packs 3x3. Problem is, this is what the fans want to see. This is good racing. So if you make the cars handle really well what the drivers like. Sure, I love a car that handles this good. And when you got 40 cars that handle this good, this is the kind of racing you're going to have. You can't have it both ways. The car's either going to not handle, and you're going to have single file racing, or the cars are going to handle good, and this is what you're going to get, BP.
And again, I don't think that the 160,000 people here and the folks watching on TV today want to see these cars run in single file. I think they want to see exactly what they're seeing now. I mean, I know one thing. I am very entertained watching this.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. leads. Jeff Burton is second. Stacy Compton third. Johnny Benson is fourth. And now Todd Bodine has moved up to race Kenny Wallace for fifth. That's Bodine in the 66, the light blue car, and Kenny Wallace in the one who is outside. More on Todd Bodine from Dave Burns.
Alan, we checked in his pit just to make sure that they weren't concerned about similar motor problems to teammate Jimmy Spencer. And, of course, well, they said no, but then again, you have the same motor builders building engines for team cars. So Todd will have to keep that thing cool and be careful out there. Another problem he's had, though, is he's tried to go to the front with the 14 car of Ron Hornaday right behind them, and they don't feel that the 14 car can push them to the front. So already starting to figure out who they're faster with.
Pole speed and last lap. It's a lot faster in the draft.
And they do everything in the world to make the cars go fast on a qualifying run. It's just when you're out there by yourself and you don't have all these cars stirring this air up, if you took these cars right now and put them on the racetrack by themselves, top speed would be about 180 miles per hour. But yet, with all the air stirred up and following each other, we're able to run somewhere around 188, 190 miles per hour.
And that's even a lot of times when you're in the draft, like the 33 and the 24. These guys are keeping their foot down all the way around, the right foot. But they're also working the brake. You don't want to get out of the throttle with a restricted plate motor because it takes so long for it to respond back to get up the power. So what you do is you ride the brake. You just tap the brake to slow the car down. If you're getting a run on somebody and you can't make the pass, you don't want to hit them. You just bump the brake a little bit with your left foot.
You know, talking about what it's like to be behind the wheel in this big pack of cars, Michael Waltrip told us earlier in the weekend, you need to be patient. It's the only way to do it at Talladega because it's not unusual to go from first to 20th or the other way around in a single lap.
He who's first will be last and he who's last will be first. Someone said that a long time ago, and I'm bringing it back because it's true. And you just don't need to wreck in 490 miles. Nobody should worry about anything for 490 miles. And then everybody ought to just say, okay, now it's time to go. Let's see what happens. And, I mean, I'm smart enough to realize that. I just hope everybody else is.
Yeah. But the problem is these guys, Stacy Compton, sitting right in there in third spot. They're trying their best to find a sponsor for next year. It doesn't look good to move out and go to the back. They need to stay up there. They need for the